Hello friends, welcome to CEC Live Lectures. Dear friends, with our ongoing series on business research methods, today we are going to talk on SPSS. Now you might be wondering what SPSS is. This is the technique, I would say, which is useful in various areas. SPSS is Statistical Package for Social Science, and to know this terminology, this technique in detail, we would like to tell you all that for the discussion we have with us in our studios Dr. Namita Rajput. Dr. Namita Rajput is Principal in Sri Aurobindo Evening College, University of Delhi. Dr. Rajput is author of numerous books, and she has written many articles as well as many research papers too. Friends, if you wish to ask questions from Dr. Namita Rajput on today's topic, then do call us through our toll-free number. Our number is 1800110430. I repeat, our number is 1800110430. Now, I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Namita Rajput, and I would like to request her to give us the in-depth knowledge on today's topic. Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the lecture.
Good morning, friends. Today, we will be talking on the detailed insights of what the Statistical Package for Social Sciences is all about. Now, as you all know that whether it is a health area, a house area, academics, hospitals, schools, everywhere we need to analyze something or the other. So this kind of a package is a very powerful tool in the hands of the researchers to analyze and do any kind of extensive research which will help them in making the reports, which will help them in analyzing the results, etc. So under this backdrop, I'll be starting with the concept of SPSS, that what is the detailed aspects of the statistical package for the social sciences. Now SPSS stands for a statistical package for the social sciences, that is it is used in various areas of research as well as the social sciences is concerned. SPSS Incorporated is a leading worldwide provider of predictive analysis, software and solutions. The first version of SPSS was released in 1968. So that means it is a quite old, about 49 years old software. So after being developed by the Norman H. Nye, Del H. Bent and C. Helly Hull, the company announced on July 28, 2009 that it was being acquired by IBM for about $1.2 billion. Now SPI is now owned by IBM, and IBM is a company which is taking care of the SPSS, its latest versions, adding few features to it, adding new paradigms to it, so that the research is more extensive, it is better. So between 2009 and 10, the primary vendor of SPSS was called PASW, that is the Predictive Analytics Software. And IBM SPSS Statistics 21.0, released on August 2012, is the latest version, although now the 22nd is also out. The 21 and 22 are a very good software packages with many new features, so that the research can be more extensive and better in terms of report writing and analytics. SPS is a very comprehensive and a flexible statistical software for the data management solutions. Like in present context, we are dealing with so many customer services, we are dealing with the marketing research, we are talking about the launching of the new products, we are talking about how the employees are working, we want to know about their salary packages, we want to know the extensive and the effectiveness of the training programs. So these softwares, they have so many features and so many tests that if you input the data and add the .SAV file to the data network, you'll be able to analyze the data very nicely, and on a click of a button you'll be able to have the comparative analysis of any kind of a solution, business solution you're looking for. For example, I want to know that after the training program, group A is performing better or group B is performing better. So within the groups, between the group, outside the groups, intergroups. So all these features are covered in SPSS. If you want to know the descriptive part of it, that is what is the mean, median, mode, skewness, kurtosis, etc. So that is also a feature available in the SPSS. So it's a very good computer program used for extensive survey, authorizing and deployment of the data mining, text analytics, statistical analysis, collaboration and deployment. So we have seen here that SPSS is a very powerful and a comprehensive and a flexible tool used in the data management services, used in data analytics, used in extensive survey methods, so that we are able to have a very good analysis in front of us. And of course, the deep statistical analysis is the need of an hour, and we are open to so much of data. So we have so many techniques here in SPSS, which also reduces the data, categorizes the data, normalizes the data, and of course we want to know whether the data is a normal or not. So we have so many tests to judge whether the data is a normal data or not. Kolmogorov-Simron test is there. We want to understand the cause and effect relationship. We have a regression is there. We want to see the covariation of two variables, so we have correlation analysis with us. And if we want to have multiple aspects, so we have multivariate analysis. We want to know the descriptive part of it, we have descriptive analysis. We want to understand on a bird's eye view. So this will provide us about how to make the graphs, how to make various types of graph, bar diagrams, pie diagrams. On a bird's eye view, you'll be able to understand the reports, which are under current, which are basically used with the data which is in front of us. So SPSS can take the data from almost any type of a file. So this is the beauty of the package, that if we have the data in any type of a format, the SPSS can take it and use them to generate the tabulated reports, the charts, the plots of the distribution and the trends, descriptive statistics, and conduct a complex statistical analysis. SPSS is among the widely used programs for the statistical analysis in the social sciences. Now it is developed by the Norman H. Nye and C. Hedley Hull of IBM Corporation in 1968. It is a compatible window, Linux, Unix, Mac operating system. So we can see that again the powerful technique of the SPSS, it can be used on any operating systems. It can be used with the Windows, it can be used with Mac, it can be used with the Linux, it can be used with the Linux, Unix also. So irrespective of the operating systems, this technique is available for all types. SPSS is among the most widely used program for the statistical analysis in the social sciences. Now we are talking about the areas and the applications used for the SPSS package. The SPSS package is such a wonderful and a good technique, and almost the applicability of the statistical package is used in so many areas like telecommunications, banking, finance, insurance, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, consumer packed goods, higher education, government, and market research. So you can see here the number of areas, the extensive use of this kind of a package, and the wide applicability and acceptability of the data, which is also called as the SPSS, that is the statistical package for the social sciences. So be it telecommunications, be it banking, be it insurance, be it education sector, be it health sector, it is extensively used because of its powerful features which are connected with the SPSS package. Now let us now discuss the features of SPSS and how it is universally acceptable across the globe, and what is the beauty of this software. First, it is a user-friendly software which is very easy to learn and use. It includes the full range of data management system and the editing tools. It provides in detail the statistical capabilities, which I will be showing you one by one. I will be showing you how the data looks, what is the data window, what is a variable window, etc. Followed by it offers a complete plotting, reporting, and the presentation features, which is the need of an hour, because whatever we do, we have to ultimately and eventually we have to make the report. So this software package will help us in reporting, in presenting, and in case of the plotting of the data in the SPSS. Now, how to get the data into an SPSS, because this is how we have to start with the analysis. Any analysis, we need the data in front of us. So the getting the data in the SPSS is the first step. So you have to create a new SPSS data files. You have to open the existing SPSS system files, import the data from SCI2 files, import the data from other file formats. Now, the first thing is that you have to enter the data. So the data will be entered under the window called Data Editor. I will be showing you the graphical view also as and when we move along with the presentation. The data editor offers a very simple and an efficient spreadsheet like a facility for entering the data directly and borrowing the working data file. So there are two features to it. You can input the data onto the Excel sheet which is shown on the data editor directly, or you can in order to save time you can directly import the data file also. This window displays the content of the data file which is in front of you. Once it can create a new data files or modify the existing ones. One can have only a data file open once at a time. The editor provides two views of the data. The data view to show the data and the variable view wherein we can define the values and the labels to the data. You have to toggle between the data view and the variable view. In the data view, you have to enter the data, and in the variable view, you can see the features of the data which has been entered in the data view. You can label the data, you can always define some value to it, etc. So we are having two views which you have to, the user have to, or the researcher has to toggle between the two. The next is it displays the variable definition information, including what is a defined variable, what is a value label, and what is a data type. Now coming on, it's a very powerful tool that once you input the data, it has a quality, it has a feature, it has a particular advantage of editing of the data also. And the editing part of the data is done with the pivotal table editor. The output can be modified in many ways with is editor and can create multi-dimensional table. We can edit the data, we can swap the data into rows and the columns. So, for example, the data has been entered by a researcher on the X and Y, that is we have row data, we have a column data. And by mistake we have able to, we did a wrong concept, that is we entered the data wrongly. The column data has to be entered in the row data and the row data has to be entered in the column data. So this statistical package allows us to edit and swap the data which is entered in the rows into the columns also. Now coming on to the text output editor. The text output not displayed in the pivotal data can be modified with the text output editor. So we have a text output editor also and we have a chart editor also. Like for example, the output is displayed in the output editor. You can always change, you can modify, because in the report writing you have the option of doing whatever you want. So you can increase the information into the text output, you can decrease the information on the text output using the text output editor, followed by a chart editor. The chart editor can give you a high resolution graphs wherein you can modify the chart windows, etc. Now is the time to save the data because you have put in a lot of efforts in terms of inputting the data in the rows and the columns. So we need to save it and give it a name. And of course, when you save that SPSS file, you have to save it as .sav file. .sav file is the extension which the statistical package of the social sciences recognizes and can pick the data from SAV file, etc. So we need to give it and save it as a name. The default extension name given to the SAV file is .spss ex.spss.sav. So whatever is the output of the data files which are generated by the SPSS, you can save it as .sav. So the extension is spss.sav file. Also we are able to retrieve already saved data file. You have done the analysis, you have done the part, and for extensive analysis of so many other paradigms and the directions and the frontiers which you are taking into consideration, it is every time difficult to input the data again and again. So you can save the files. For example, I want to save the data for the employment. I am inputting the characteristics of the employers. So after doing the analysis of the employers, I can save it as employer.sav. Now I am trying to input the characteristics of the product which you are going to launch. So we can always save the file as product.sav. The moment you open that file, the file data is in front of the SPSS package, wherein you can modify, you can again, clarify about the statistics or the analytics part you have already done. So your time, money, energy will be saved because you have already saved the work in your SAV file. So SAV files you can rename according to your workstations, according to your research inputs, according to your research questions and objectives, so that it takes lesser time to do the analysis once again. Now, coming on to the variable part. So variable is a user defined a particular type of the data to hold the information, such as the income, gender, temperature or dosage. The array of variable is a collection value of a similar data types. On the front of the screens, you have the variable types which is in front of you. First is the numeric data. Second is a comma. Third is a dot. Fourth is a scientific notation. Fifth is a date. Sixth is a customer currency, and 7 is a string. So these are the various types of the variables which are present in the SPSS package. Now, coming on to the rules for the variable names. These are the basic insights of using the SPSS package. Unless and until you have the insights of these, you cannot use the package. Although, we have a tab on the SPSS screen called help, that if you put a help and type your query, it gives you the answer there and then. But you must have the basic insights of these basic parameters which are used, the basic nomenclatures which are used in this package. So now coming on to the rules for the variable names. The first is the name must begin with the letter. The names must not end with a period. The names must no longer have more than 8 characters. Names cannot contain blanks or a special character. Otherwise, the SPSS package will not take any kind of a space. Then the names must be unique. The names are not case sensitive. It does not matter if you call your variable a capital client or a small client. It means all clients to SPSS. So that means when you talk about SPSS, it is not a case sensitive thing, and we are now talking about the rules which were applicable to the names. As we have a nomenclature about the name, that it must start with the letter, it should not have more than 8 characters, then it should not end with a period, the names must be unique, and of course the capital or a small, that is, it is not a case sensitive thing. So these were the rules relating to the names variables. Now coming on to the basic steps in the data analysis. Get your data into SPSS. We can open a previously saved SPSS data file, read a spreadsheet database, the text data file, enter directly in the data editor, select a procedure from the menus to calculate the statistics or create a chart. Then select the variable for the analysis. The variables in the data file are displayed in a dialog box for the procedure. Run the procedure, the results are displayed in the viewer. So once again, let us now have a recap of what we did. What are the basic steps to start with the data analysis? To start with the data analysis, the first thing which you need is a opening of the data file. So open the data file, select the system which you want to do, select a particular data which you want to analyze. There will be an open of a dialog box, do the procedure and then run the analysis. So results are displayed in the viewers. Now coming on to the statistical procedures. After entering the data in the data editor or reading an SCI data file, we are ready to analyze the data. The procedures available are: you have to write a report, you can do the descriptive statistics, you can come on and making of the custom tables, that is as per your needs and your use. Then is you have to compare the means and then you have a general linear model, that is GLM. You can go in for a calculation of the correlation, you can go in for the calculation of regression, you can find out the log linear, you can classify the data, you can reduce the data, you can scale the data, you can calculate any kind of a non-parametric test, you can go in for a time series, you can go in for a survival, and of course about the multiple responses. So the first is a report. Report is a textual work made with the specific intention of relying information on recounting certain events in a widely presentable form. The descriptive statistics talks about the summarizing of the data, that is the statistics, charts and reports. You can make the custom tables as per your needs. You can make the frequency counts, you can convert it into percentages, you can use any kind of a statistics, whatever you want here. You can compare the means, because comparison of the means will give you a lot of insight about the comparative analysis of the two groups, group A and group B. Then the last is that you have a general linear model, that is GLM. This provides the technique for testing the univariate and a multivariate analysis of the variance models, including the repeated measures. You can do a correlation, that is the covariation of the two or more than two variables. You can find out that regression. Regression, we have various types. We have linear, log linear, logistics, non-linear weighted average, the two-stage least square, a stepwise regression, etc. So the log linear provides a general and hierarchical log linear analysis of a logit analysis. Then of course you can classify the data as per the cluster and discriminant analysis, and this provides the factor correspondence analysis and the optional scaling. The scaling provides the reliability analysis and the multi-dimensional scaling, and the non-parametric test, as the name suggests, it does not have the parameters of the population under study, and of course you have so many other things in this regard which this particular software gives you and provides you. So I hope till now the things are clear to you.
With this note, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much for explaining us in detail about statistical package for social science. And dear friends, we would be continuing further after a short break. So it is requested, be with us. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome back to this session where we are discussing on SPSS, that is Statistical Package for Social Science, and for the discussion we have with us in our studios Dr. Namita Rajput. Friends, if you wish to ask questions from Dr. Rajput on today's topic, then do call us through our toll-free number. Our number is 1800110430. Now I would like to request Dr. Rajput to continue the lecture further.
So in the previous session we talked about SPSS. Let me give you a small recap of what we did in the earlier session. We talked about that SPSS is a social science package for the research and data analytics and for the data management. We saw that it is a very year-old package in which the name and the company ownership has changed and evolved. But talking about the specific features of the SPSS, it's a very comprehensive and a flexible statistical analysis for the data management solutions. So we can use any kind of a data type. We can use it on any type of an operating system, and of course the applicability and the application of the statistical package of the social sciences, it can be banking, insurance, finance, manufacturing, retail, consumers, higher education, government, and a market research. So we talked about the features of SPSS. Number one, it is very easy to use. It's a user-friendly method. On a click of a button, you can do any kind of a data management, right from analysis to the data reduction part. And it has so many statistical capabilities that you can plot the data, you can make a graph, you can do any kind of a comparison, you can do any kind of a presentation. It can help in report writing, and of course, for inputting the data, we talked about the data editor, wherein you can put in the data, or this is one aspect, or you can directly import the data from the compatible files, either Excel or .sav. And of course, the data provides two views, the variable view and the data view, wherein you can toggle. In the data view, you can enter the data. In the variable view, you can see the nature, the type, the value assigned, the labels assigned to the data, which is all depending upon the user or the researcher, what he wants to do and how he wants to move on. The editing of the data is possible in the pivotal data editor. The text can be edited in a text output data editor. The charts can be edited in a chart editor. You can save the file using SAV extension, because this is one thing you have to understand, because this is the SPSS package, wherein the .sav file is a file given to the data which is related to the SPSS package. So it is extension is .spss.sav. Then we talked about the variables. Variables is a particular name given to a one particular type of the information which it can hold, like income, gender, temperature, dosage, etc. Now we talked about the various types of the data, the various types of the variables, wherein the first is the numeric data, the comma, dot, scientific notion, date, currency, and the string. We talked about certain rules relating to the variable names, wherein the names must start with a letter and it should not end with a date. It should not have more than 8 characteristics. Then the name must be unique, and it should not contain any kind of a space or a special character. Now coming on to the basic steps in the data analysis. First, you have to open the SPSS window. You have to import the file, or you have to input the data. You have to select which type of a procedure you have to carry on. Select a procedure from the menu to calculate the statistics and create a chart. You can select the variable for the analysis. The variables in the data file are displayed in a dialog box for the procedure. You have to run the procedure. The results are displayed in the viewer. The statistical procedures are as follows. After entering the data in the data editor or reading an SCI data file, we are now ready to analyze it. The procedures which are available are report, descriptive statistics, customer table, comparing means, and a general linear model. You can correlate, regress, classify, reduce, non-parametric test, time series, survival, and multiple responses. Now coming on to the first most powerful aspect, that is you can make a very important textual report on the basis of which your data analytics will depend, how beautifully you write the report, and this particular package will help you in report writing. You can always do any kind of a descriptive statistics, that is, you can either reduce the data, make the charts, do the analysis, etc. Now coming on to the custom tables, it provides a very attractive, flexible, displays the frequency counts, percentages and other statistics. You can compare the means, that is, this provides the techniques for testing the differences among two or more than two means for their values and other variables. Then we have a general linear model, that is GLM. This provides the technique for testing the univariate and multivariate analysis of the variance models. The first is correlate. This provides an association of two or more than two variables measured in the interval levels. You can do a regression. Regression is all about a cause and effect relationship and the various types connected to it, like you can always calculate the linear regression, logistics, stepwise, non-linear, weighted, two-stage least square regressions. Then we have a log linear aspects to it. This provides a general and hierarchical log linear analysis and the logit analysis. You can classify the data into could be a cluster or a discriminant analysis, that is reducing the data. This provides a factor analysis, correspondence analysis and optical scaling. When you talk about a scale, the scale is all about whether the things you have taken under a scale are reliable or not. So this provides a reliable analysis and a multi-dimensional scaling aspects. Then we have a non-parametric test. This provides non-parametric test for one sample, for two sample, for a paired sample, for an independent sample. When you talk about a time series data, the time series provides exponential smoothing, auto-correlated regression, that is ARIMA, seasonal decomposition, spectral analysis and the related techniques. So when you're dealing with the time series data, then how are they moving on, whether they are auto-regressive, you're checking the movements of these kind of a data. So all these things, the time series analysis can be very nicely done with the help of the SPSS package. Then we have a survival. This provides a technique for analyzing the time for some terminal event to occur, including Kaplan-Meier analysis and Cox regression. Next, we have a multi-response analysis. This provides facilities to define and analyze the multiple responses given by the respondents, because this is one technique which is extensively used, that is the SPSS technique is extensively used in the survey-based techniques. Now, coming on to the various types of the graphs, which is the most important component for the report. Once we are writing a report, if it is supplemented by a very graphical presentation or charts or bars, this makes the the reports as a bird's eye view report, wherein you can make a colorful black and white different types of the bars, pie diagrams, charts as per your own choice, as per your own needs, as per your own research objectives. So let us start with various types of graphs. The first is a bar. It generates a very simple clustered or stacked bar chart of the data. Then we have a line data, that is, it generates a simple multiple line charts of the data. In the area, we have to generate a simple or a stacked area chart of the data. You can see on the screen, it is a very simple bar diagram which has been generated by SPSS package. If you see on the x-axis, we have different vendors. If you see on the y-axis, we have total sales. So it is very easy to analyze just by looking at a very simple graph which is represented by various bars with various colors. So as you see that the total sales which are shown on the left hand side, that is on the y-axis, it is associated with the various vendors. So when you see that when you talk about the vendor C, he is showing the highest amount of sales, followed by vendor E, then vendor G, and if you see the lowest sales is shown by vendor A. So this type of analysis, even if we don't know, if we know only the graphs which are in front of you, even a layman can analyze just by looking at the graphs. Now this is a line diagram. If you see a line diagram, you can see the highlights, that the first is about 43, which shows the association of X and Y, followed by 53, 50, 57, 59 and 67. So this line shows that we have a rising trend as far as the concepts and the variables which are shown in the figure is concerned. This is an area chart. You can see here the three colors, the about which signifies the various areas, and you can show any kind of the aspects showing the area chart, which the analysis is relating to some geographical areas. Then we have a pie, which is a circular chart wherein the percentage is shown with the different types of the composition of the different aspects. Then we have box plots, which generates the box plot showing the median, outline and extreme cases of individual variables. This is a pie diagram. This is a circular diagram in which the pie is divided into small slices. These slices is showing the various percentage of the various cost which is associated with the product. Like the printing cost is 20%, the paper cost is 25%, the transportation cost is 10%, royalty is 15 and the binding is 20. So this is all related with the paper related business. Then we have a group box plot. As the name suggests, this particular chart is used wherein you want to compare the various types of the groups. So we are putting the group plots here. On the right hand side, that is the x-axis, we have the various groups, that is group X, Y, Z and Q. Wherein on the left hand side, that is on the y-axis, we have a various sales. So you can see just by putting the group box plots, you can analyze that which group is performing better. Then we have a Pareto generates the Pareto charts, the bar charts with a line superimposed showing the cumulative sum. Then we have a control produces the most commonly used process control charts. This is a Pareto chart. This is a frequency which is shown on the left hand side, that is on the y-axis. On the x-axis we have a no signature, no address, cannot read, current customer and others, that is it generates the Pareto chart. This is also the divided section chart, that is X-bar chart, wherein the first section you show a different analysis, followed by second section and followed by the third section. We have various types of plots like normal P plots, normal Q plots and a sequence plots. When you talk about the normal P plots, the P plots is a cumulative proportions of variable distribution against the cumulative proportions of the normal distribution, followed by the normal Q plots, that is the quantiles of a variable distribution against the quartiles of a normal distribution. Then we have a sequence. Sequence produces a plot of one or more variable by order in the file suitable for examining the time series data. If you see this plot, on the x-axis we have observed cum probability, wherein on the left hand side, that is on the y-axis, we have expected cum probabilities. So the normal P plots is basically a regression standardized residuals which are plotted here with the dependent variable y, with the expected probabilities, etc. This is a normal Q plot of ethnocentrism scale, wherein on the x-axis we have the observed values, on the y-hand side, that is the y-axis, we have the expected normal values. So followed by a time series autocorrelations. It calculates and plots the autocorrelation function that is ACF, and a partial autocorrelation function of one or more series to any specified number of lags. Displaying the box L-Jung statistics at each lag to test the overall hypothesis is that the ACF is 0 at all lags. Let me show this diagram to you. This is a time series 1, time series 2, autocorrelation 1 and autocorrelation 2. The time series cross correlations calculates and plots the cross correlation function of two or more series for positive, negative and the 0 lags. Here if you see a graph, the time is shown in years on the x-axis, wherein we are trying to find out the number of the areas with the dengue fever on the y-axis. We are trying to show the Southern Oscillation Index. So this is the chart which is generated by the SPSS, which is self-explanatory. Then we have time series spectral. It calculates and plots a univariate and a bivariate periodograms and spectral density functions, which expresses the variation in a time series as a sum of the series of sinusoidal components. It can optionally save the various components of a frequency analysis as a new series. So you can see here the wavelength, and on the left hand side we have a relative time. Now coming on to the advantages of SPSS. SPSS we have seen here till now is a very powerful software used in extensive areas, and the coverage and the number is not even exhaustive. It can be used in the banking sector, it can be used in schools, it can be used in report writing, it can be used by the insurance sector, it can be used by the the government research techniques areas, wherein you have to analyze that what is the impact of demonetization in the economy, how the exports are doing well, is there any association with the exports and the gross development product, what is the impact of FIIs on the Indian economy. So any type of cause and effect, comparisons, plotting, referencing, indexing, presentations, it is so powerful that it takes care of so many extensive features, and this SPSS package is been expanded day by day, adding new features to it, so that you have a question in mind and it has a solution in front of you. Because when you are dealing in a dynamic world, contemporary world of today, you cannot say end. You cannot have a small question in front of you. With the every rising population, with every rising the global economy, network, connectivity across the globes, we are having so many questions which needs to be answered. They are still unanswered. So this SPSS package gives you a solutions for these rising and complex queries which the researchers are facing today. So SPSS offers a very friendliness. The most packages are only now catching up too. It is a popular, and though it is certainly not a reason of choosing a statistical package. There are many data sets which are easily loaded into it. You need not have a particular format for it. You can take the data from any types. You can use it in any operating systems. So this is a variety of the features which makes the SPSS most popular. You can even import the files. Now coming on to the last aspect of the lecture, that is, what are the disadvantages, if any, do you feel of SPSS? We have till now seen the rosy part, the best part, the advantageous part of the SPSS package. But now we are going to discuss that what are the disadvantages of the SPSS package. For academic use, SPSS lags notable behind SAS and R. SAS and R are the packages which are even more advanced than SPSS. For academic use, SPSS lags notably behind SAS and R, and even perhaps others that are more mathematical rather than statistical side for the modern data analysis. What does it mean? You talk about the modern day analysis, the modern complexity. you need more mathematical than statistical. SPSS is more statistical and SAS and R are more mathematical. So even if we are discussing the disadvantages, but we can always say that statistical package, that is the SPSS, has its own unique identity, because this is centering around the statistical analysis, whereas the SAS and R are the softwares which are more mathematical in nature, so it has its own applicability. Its menu offerings are typically the most basic of an analysis and sometimes lagging even, and it takes going into an appropriate analysis very easy. Its menu offerings are typically the most basic of an analysis and sometimes lacking even then. It makes doing an inappropriate analysis is very easy. It is extensive, sometimes ridiculous, so even when you do buy, you're really only leasing, and its license is definitely not user friendly. There are often compatible issues with the prior. So now we are talking about the licensing aspects of it. So the licensing part of the SPSS is very costly. It is not that user friendly. So that is why it keeps providing with the free versions which are available for the users, so that they understand the power of the SPSS package. But yes, we discussed here the comparative analysis of SAS and R. The SAS and R are not comparable at all in terms of the SAS and R are more mathematical in nature, more for the industry use and the corporate use, whereas the SPSS is more friendly among the researchers, amongst the academicians, because the feature it offers is enough and gives a comprehensive coverage of the uses and the application aspect of the SPSS package. So this is all from my side, but yes, one more thing I want to hear is that the SPSS package is a beautiful statistical package from the statistical side for the analysis aspects, etc. So the final few points which should be highlighted after the ending of the lecture is that how do we start and what types of the data and variables are used, because this is the only thing which you have to count and you have to start. So download or take the license of the SPSS, download that package in front of you, input the data and start doing the analysis. So it is one, easy to use and learn, gives you a graphical user interface, that is GUI. It gives you a full range of the data management with complete range of editing tools in front of you. The in-depth analysis, which is basically the statistical capabilities, is the USP of this SPSS package, that it has a unique statistical capabilities. It takes care of everything, the time series data, the interval data, etc. Then it offers you a complete range of plotting, reporting, presentation features to it. Then getting the data into an SPSS is the first aspect you have to understand as a researcher. You have to create a new SPSS data files, open the systems, import the data or input the data. When you are inputting the data, you have to open the data editor, wherein it helps you in inputting the data. And by mistake, if you have entered wrongly the rows and the columns, you can swap it. Then of course you have to toggle as a researcher between the two views, the data view and the variable view. There is a difference between the two. When you input the data, it is a data view. When the variable view is opened, it gives you the basic characteristics of the data which has been inputted by you, whether it is a name or a date or a gender, etc. Because you must understand a complete analysis, so you have to toggle between the two windows, the data window and the variable view window. Then you can do a lot of editing using the pivotal data editor, followed by the text output editor, the chart editor, because once you input the data, you must have the the capabilities, etc., to edit the various aspects. Then you can save the data using .sav files. You can retrieve the data. Then of course you have the various variables which you will be learning here. The variables are, they hold a very prime importance and you must understand the various types of it. So the first is a numeric data, comma, dot, scientific notation, data currency and a string. The rules for the data are as follows. The names must begin with a letter, should not end with a period, should not contain any specific feature, specific character. Then of course you should not be keeping any part as blank. The names which must be mentioned must be unique, and of course it is not a case sensitive method at all. Even if you use the capital letters instead of small, it is acceptable to SPSS because it is not a case sensitive method. Then of course you have to get the data to the SPSS file, you have to select a procedure and start doing it. Then whatever the data you have inputted in the SPSS file, select that procedure and run the procedure. There are so many procedures which are available in the SPSS package depending upon what you have to do. Like if you have to make a report, then we have a report analysis here. If you want to make a presentation in terms of the graphical features, you have the customized tables and the charts in front of you. You have to drop down that menu, select a particular table, select the data and start making it. So you can make a bar diagram, you can have a pie diagram, you can have area charts, you can have the various aspects which are a part and parcel of this. So basically I'll be talking more on the graphs right now. This is the last aspect we are talking today. We can make a bar diagram, very beautiful, with different colors, with different percentages, followed by the line diagrams, the area diagrams, wherein you can always stack the particular charts and the areas, which is used more in the geographical analysis. Then you have basically a group box plots, which is used in the group analysis. You can have a Pareto generated charts, which are extensively used in industry. Then of course we have various types of plots, Q plots, P plots, which helps in the data analysis, followed by the time series, etc. So I hope with this you'll be able to understand more on the statistical packages. We'll be having few more sessions because we'll be telling you how to basically do the various procedure using the SPSS. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much. And dear friends, you can give your feedback at info.cec@nic.in for this particular lecture, as well as you can see all the lectures pertaining to the series which are uploaded on YouTube. So keep watching us, keep writing us. We would be meeting again soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.